Hey everybody, Mrs. Green here. We are in lesson 5.05, Energy Flow in the Ecosystem. There are two objectives that I would like you to leave this recording being able to do. The first is explain how energy flows through all feeding levels, producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. And then two, discuss how stability of producers and decomposers is an important part of the ecosystem. So, you've seen this food chain before. This is nothing new. You've seen it before. And this is a food chain. All living things require a constant supply of energy in order to survive. So every living thing, their goal is to get energy. Without that energy, they cannot make ATP, which is the energy of cells, right? We've been learning that all semester. If they can't get the energy, they can't make the ATP, and then they die. So some organisms, producers, can make their own energy. They can make their own energy through photosynthesis. They take the sun's energy and they convert that into glucose, which is then pushed over to cellular respiration and made into ATP, the energy of cells, right? Or in the case of the primary consumers, the secondary consumers, the tertiary consumers, and even quaternary consumers, all four, they have to consume another organism in order to break down that food, send that to cellular respiration, and make ATP for the energy of cells. We're going to talk a lot in ecology about the flow of energy in order for the survival. If there's no energy, if there's no flow of energy, then there is no ecosystem. If the energy somewhere in that ecosystem breaks down, the whole entire ecosystem is going to fall apart. It's not going to work. So for example, say all of a sudden there's no primary consumer, this whole food chain is just going to break down and it's not going to work. All right, so let's talk about the flow of energy. So we discussed the flow of energy in the forms of these diagrams called energy pyramids, and it shows how much energy each trophic level has. So you see the trophic levels: producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers. At the bottom, you're going to find the producers. These producers, and then you'll find the primary consumers, followed by secondary, tertiary, and then quaternary and some. The reason that we shape this energy flow like this is because it shows how much biomass that each group has. Now, biomass is how many molecules are basically in each group, or how many individuals can be found in each group. So there's a lot more, like if you look at the world as a whole, or if you look at an individual ecosystem, there's a lot more total producers than there are primary consumers. There's a lot more primary consumers than there are secondary consumers, and then there's a lot more tertiary consumers than there are secondary consumers. There are more plants than there are top predators in an ecosystem, okay? So again, the bottom is the widest because it has the greatest number of individuals, and as you move up each trophic level, there's less and less and less individuals. There's a reason for that. So we talked about how producers provide all energy for the whole food chain. Producers are the only ones that are doing photosynthesis. No one else can take the sun's energy, that light energy, and turn it into a chemical energy that makes glucose and ultimately ATP. Plants are so important. They are the most important part of trophic levels and how energies flow within the trophic levels, or even in an ecosystem. So if all of the plants were to die, if all of these plants were to die, there would be no energy flow up the system, and every other level would die because they don't have anything to eat. All right, so plants, super important. Now, the interesting part of the energy transfer, and this is also part of the reason why we have that energy pyramid shaped like a triangle, why there are few tertiary and even quaternary consumers, and why there's so many producers, is because of how this energy is transferred. If you notice, we start out with 10,000 joules with the plants. So the plants have 10,000 joules of energy within their body. So when a primary consumer then eats the plants, they're only getting 1,000 joules. They're only getting 10% of the energy of the plant. And then we go from the grasshopper, who has 1,000 joules of energy, to being eaten by the mouse. The mouse only gets 100 joules of energy, only 10% of the energy from the grasshopper. And then the hawk eats the mouse. They only get 10% of the mouse's energy. Okay, this again, you're only getting 10% of the energy. So this is why there's so few tertiary, even quaternary consumers. All right, because there is not that much energy passed. So where does all this energy go? Why are the different tertiary levels, why are they only getting 10% of the energy? Well, the energy transfer is extremely inefficient, because it goes, when an organism eats another organism, 50% of that energy goes through the body and out the organism's body as waste, as feces, okay? The other 40% is used in cellular respiration. It's used to make ATP, but then that energy is lost as body heat. So it's just released to the environment. The 10% that the next tertiary or the next trophic level will get is growth. So 10% of that energy is going to go to the macromolecules of the body, to building the organism's body. And that is the 10% that is eaten by the next organism up the food chain. So this beetle, it eats the leaf. 50% of that leaf goes to waste, 40% goes to cellular respiration, and only 10% of that leaf goes to growth. So total, when the bird, say a bird eats this beetle, that bird's only going to get that 10% of growth or energy into their body. So that is where the energy is going. So I want to take some time talking about detritivores and decomposers. These are really important to the ecosystem because they connect the whole food web together. Whenever an organism dies, their body needs to be broken down. That body that's being broken down needs to have their nitrogen, their carbon, basically all the macromolecules, all the atoms, they need to be broken down and put back into the earth. This is where the detritivores and the decomposers come in. So detritivores, they eat dead, decaying plants or animals. An example would be like earthworms that you find in your soil. Beetles, roaches, vultures. Whenever you see dead animals on the side of the road, you always see like vultures or even crows a lot of the times eating them. So those are the detritivores. Then we have decomposers, and decomposers consume organic matter and break them down into chemicals that recycle back into the environment. A perfect example is bacteria and fungi. They're so important because they put these macromolecules back into the system, the ecosystem, and then plants can pick up the molecules out of the soil, they can use them, and then the cycle begins again, and it keeps that life cycle going. So if you try to put a decomposer or a detritivore into the food chain, where would you put it? Well, you can put it in any level. You can put them at any level. Here it shows it in a cycle, but really you could put the fungi with the grasshopper, with the grass, with the mouse, with the snake, with the hawk. Oops, and you know what, guys? I'm drawing my arrows the wrong direction, right? Drawing the arrows the wrong direction. Oy, 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 oy. Should actually be going this way. Goes to the right, because they're eating it. They're eating it and they're breaking it down. So I was drawing my arrows the wrong way. So the arrows can go to any level because they're responsible for breaking down those organisms when they die and putting the material back into the system. All right. So that is it for this recording. This is a short recording. What's next? Please make sure that you watch the 5.06 biomes recording. That again is another one that you need to watch before you go in and take the test. So please watch the 5.06 biomes recording. It is a short recording, and make sure you do that next.